What's up, agents? Welcome back to the channel, and let's get right into it. This is not your typical capacitor build guide. Usually, when you see this gun, you immediately think technician, 6 yellow cores, and hiding in cover. But today, we're throwing that entire playbook out the window. We aren't using technician, and we definitely aren't chasing a max skill tier. Instead, we're building a hybrid monster that allows you to hit like a truck while still surviving the absolute messiest fights in both PvE and PvP. We're getting the most out of the capacitor's unique scaling without being a total glass cannon. The beauty of this setup is that it works all year round. We aren't relying on seasonal modifiers. You don't need a maxed out SHD watch, and you definitely don't need high expertise levels to feel the power, but it won't hurt either. This is pure gear synergy designed for players who want to dominate the front line. If you're like me and you love those off-meta builds that actually shred, I've got you covered. We're about to look at exactly how to make the capacitor a top-tier damage dealer without the traditional skill build baggage. Let's get started. Before we get into the nitty-gritty, let's do a quick flyby of the setup so you can see why this works. The heart and soul of this build is the NinjaBike Messenger Backpack. This is what allows us to bridge multiple brands together to create a hybrid that shouldn't technically exist. To get those high damage and high survivability numbers, we're running 1 piece of unit alloys, 1 piece of Brazos, and 1 piece of Bellstone Armory. We're combining all of that with 2 pieces of Gila Guard. Because of that NinjaBike synergy, we aren't just getting base stats, we're unlocking massive tiers across the board. We're talking a staggering 3% armor regeneration and 20% armor on kill. You aren't just tanky, you're practically a self-healing machine. But we didn't forget the skill in skill hybrid. We're utilizing the capacitor's talent to keep our stacks high, which boosts our assault turret for that consistent PvE pressure and our explosive seeker mine for clearing cover in PvP. And for the opener, we're rocking the gunner specialization for that Banshee pulse. It's pure chaos that gives you the perfect window to start shredding while your enemies are wandering around dazed. If you're digging the look of this off-meta monster so far, do me a huge favor, hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I really appreciate the support. It helps me keep these guides coming for you guys. All right, enough talk. Let's roll some gameplay and look at the raw numbers before we dive into the details. Let's look at the raw numbers so you can see exactly why this build hits like a freight train. The base damage on our capacitor is sitting at 133k, which translates to a massive 130% assault rifle damage. We're rocking 56% critical hit chance with 147% critical hit damage, and when you factor in that 10% damage to targets out of cover and 12% damage to armor, you start to see why this isn't just a tank build. Plus, thanks to those capacitor stacks, our turret is getting a 60% damage boost, making it a serious threat even without a dedicated skill build. Now check out the defensive side. This is where it gets crazy. We are sitting on a comfortable 2 million armor and 561k health, but the sustain is the real winner here. We've got 405k armor on kill and a steady 60k armor regeneration. You can literally stand in the middle of a firefight, take the hits, and just keep on pushing. As you've seen in the clips, this setup is a monster in any type of PvE content, and it's a total menace in the DZ and conflict. But don't just take my word for it. Let's finish off these heroic bosses real quick, and then we'll get into the specific details of every gear piece. All right, agents, let's get into the specifics. For the specialization, we're rolling with Gunner. First, you're getting that 10% armor on kill, which is huge for sustaining in PvE and gives you that extra edge in PvP. Then you've got the 10% ammo regeneration every 60 seconds and that sweet rate of fire boost after a kill. But let's be real, the main reason we're here is the Banshee Pulse. It creates pure chaos, giving you the perfect opening to shred enemies while they're dazed. As always, make sure your weapon damage nodes in the specialization tree are maxed out for that extra 15% AR damage. For the primary, we are running the star of the show, the Capacitor. This is easily one of my favorite exotics because it's the only AR in the game that comes with damage to armor and damage to targets out of cover. Because of our 2 skill tiers, we're getting an automatic 15% weapon damage increase, and when we hit those full stacks, our assault turret is getting a massive 60% boost. It's the perfect engine for a high-damage hybrid. My secondary of choice is the SOCOM MK16. I find myself reaching for this a lot because it's significantly more accurate than other MK16 variants. It's basically a laser. I've got it rolled with damage to targets out of cover and the strain talent. Since the MK16 has a lower rate of fire, you get the maximum value out of that extra 50% crit damage. It's the perfect heavy hitter when you need to swap off the Capacitor. For the sidearm, I'm running the Quick Step. This is strictly for utility. We've got it rolled for swap speed and that 20% movement speed boost. It's perfect for repositioning or making a quick exit when things get a little too spicy. Here is the heart of the operation, the NinjaBike Messenger Backpack. This piece is non-negotiable. The build simply wouldn't function without it. The resourceful talent is our skeleton key, unlocking an additional tier for every gear brand we're wearing. Plus, it comes natively with all 3 core attributes, which is the perfect foundation for a hybrid. For the mod slot, we're running critical hit damage. For the mask, we're going with unit alloys. Thanks to the NinjaBike, this single piece grants us the 2-piece bonus, a 5% increase in rate of fire, and a massive 20% assault rifle damage. We've got this rolled with an armor core, double crits, and a crit chance mod to ensure the Capacitor is hitting as fast and as hard as possible. On the chest, we have our first piece of Hela Guard. We're running an armor core with double crits and another crit chance mod with the talent Unbreakable. This is your ultimate safety net. Getting 95% of your armor back in PvE and 50% in PvP every 60 seconds is a lifesaver when you're pushing deep into enemy lines. To round out the set, we're running Hela Guard gloves. Because of the NinjaBike, this unlocks the full 3-piece bonus suite, 5% total armor, 60% health, and a crucial 2% armor regeneration. These are also rolled to armor and double crits, making you incredibly difficult to put down. For the knee pads, we're slotting in Bellstone Armory. This adds even more sustain with another 1% armor regeneration and 10% armor on kill. When you combine this with the Hela and Gunner bonuses, your passive healing is off the charts. As you probably guessed, we're sticking with the theme, armor core and double crits. The final piece of the puzzle is the named Brazos holster, Picaros. This is where the hybrid magic really happens. It gives us 10% skill haste, but more importantly, it provides a skill tier alongside that unique high weapon damage roll. When you pair this with the NinjaBike, you're effectively getting the power of 6 cores in one setup, roughly 2 reds, 2 yellows, and 2 blues. It's absolutely insane value for a single slot. Now let's talk utility. To round out the kit, we're leaning into the gunner specialization with the Banshee Pulse. This is your go-to opener for that quick head start. It creates instant chaos, dazing your enemies and buying you those crucial seconds to get your Capacitor stacks building while they're standing still. For the second slot, it really depends on where you're fighting. In PvP, I'm almost always running the Explosive Seeker Mine. It's perfect for flushing agents out of cover or forcing them to panic roll right into your line of fire. When I pivot to PvE, I switch it up to the Assault Turret. Even though we aren't a full skill build, that turret is getting a massive 60% damage boost from our stacks, making it a serious threat on the battlefield. But honestly, the beauty of this hybrid setup is the flexibility. I've found these to be the most effective for my playstyle, but don't feel locked in. This build is versatile enough that you can slot in your personal favorite skills and still dominate. Use what works for you. And that, agents, is the full breakdown of this Capacitor hybrid. I'm telling you, I've been having an absolute blast with this setup. It hits like a train and keeps you standing through the absolute messiest fights. It's the perfect proof that you don't need to follow the max skill tier meta to dominate. As I mentioned earlier, this build is designed to work for you straight out of the gate. You don't need a maxed out SHD watch, seasonal modifiers, or high expertise levels to make this feel powerful. But if you do decide to spec into it further, it only makes this setup even more of a menace. It's a true year-round monster for every season and any type of content, whether you're grinding PvE or hunting in the dark zone. Let me know in the comments, what are your thoughts on this hybrid? Are you a fan of this off-meta style? And if you've tested it yourself, what would you change to make it even deadlier? I love seeing your personal versions of these setups, so we can learn from each other. Huge thanks for watching, for hitting that like button, and for subscribing. It honestly helps the channel grow more than you know. If you're hungry for more, you can check out my full build guide playlist popping up on the screen right now, or jump straight into the next video on the right. Stay safe out there, have some fun with the new setup, and I'll see you in the next one, agents.